Hey, this is Anney.
And Samantha.
And welcome to Stuff I Never Told You, a production of iHeartRadio.
And welcome. And we are doing another classic for our feminist movie. Not exactly feminist movie that I will talk about with feminism. Is that how we're going to do it? Okay. It is I would classify this, and so would a lot of the listicles that I have found, as a fall classic. So this is why we kind of picked one. And as we enter 60-degree weather in Georgia, by the way, I've been wearing a cardigan. I see you're wearing a sweatshirt, Anney. Congratulations. It's that time of year. We decided we would pick a fall movie, and we are doing the 1985, 40-year-old movie classic, Clue, which we referenced before.
We did, and you recently helped me solve a mystery of a ribbon I got at Dragon Con that had this quote I didn't recognize, and you were like, oh no, that is from Clue.
I immediately knew what it was. And again, like I said, this is not necessarily a feminist movie at its core. In fact, there are several things in there would be like, that's really sexist. However, there are some good bits to it, including the comedy genius from the likes of Madeline Kahn, who portrays, in the iconic line you're talking about, this dark, foreboding widow, Mrs. White. I would say it's empowering, for sure. And even Miss Scarlett's character. I also think that there may have been some queer awakenings through this movie, because there were moments that I had some feelings. I was like, wait. And I don't necessarily qualify myself as queer because, but at the same time, I'm like, oh, that's sexy. I remember those scenes as sexy, even though they're not really sexy, because of Miss Scarlett specifically, more than anybody else. All of that to say, yes, I think her lines were always delivered with quick, dry wit outside, again, of the flames, but that was purposeful comedic timing. And we love it. Yes.
Yeah. Did you play Clue growing up?
Oh, yes. That was one of my favorite games. I played by myself,
have a character?
Actually.
I did too sometimes.
Miss White. I was Miss White all the time.
Miss White.
Even though in the game she's portrayed as the maid.
Yeah, she's like the very kind of matronly, on the box cover at least.
Yeah.
I went with Miss Peacock usually.
She was the matronly one to me. Mrs. Peacock.
I think I just liked her outfit. Okay. It was purely That's fair. Aesthetic.
Yeah. I did find it funny that they reference it in the movie as colors for coding rather than the actual colors they wore, in which happens in the game. Anyway, moving on. Yes. So we're going to go ahead and jump right into this because I want to talk about it. About things that I didn't catch on as a kid versus today. And the way that yes, it's more sexist than some, but not as bad as you would think. There is some little bit anti-queer, but not necessarily anti-queer, just more confusing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It holds up pretty well. Mm-hmm. And I feel like it's kind of interesting how they portray socialism. Anyway, going on. So, this movie is based off of the successful 1943 board game Clue, which is a who, with what, and where murder mystery featuring the characters of Colonel Mustard, Mr. Green, Mrs. Peacock, Ms. Scarlet, Miss White, and Professor Plum. Apparently, this was a game that was by a British creator. But the movie decided they wanted to do all those political views, and so placed it in New England in the 1950s. So this is kind of the differences here. This group is led by Butler Wadsworth, played by the amazing Tim Curry, who was apparently a third choice, by the way, to play that character. Yeah. The crew, they are all invited to a mansion under mysterious circumstances, each receiving a letter with an alias, as these names are not their real names, even though they adapted them very quickly, by the way. They receive invitations to a not-so-exciting dinner party. Yes. I will say, I feel like Knives Out was an ode to that a little bit.
Yeah. This was very much the murder mystery games you play and you listen to the tape. And
yes.
Now you figured this out. Yeah.
Well, I was going to ask, because did I buy you a Star Wars Clue game? Or did I see one and think I should buy that for you?
I believe you bought one. Somebody bought one for me.
I think I bought it for you.
Yes. I have a lot of versions of Clue.
Do you? Have you played it?
I have opened it up and looked at it because I'm always really interested. If you've ever played like Clue in another property, it's really interesting because it'll be like, I don't know, it was Han Solo and the Millennium Falcon with a blaster, and you're like, Han Solo killed this person? Like, it could be Leia. I don't know.
This doesn't match. Oh, BT Dubs. Did you know that Carrie Fisher was initially supposed to play Miss Scarlet?
No.
But she ended up going to rehab.
Oh, well, I guess good for her.
Good for her. But also, that would have been interesting. Anyway, going back, y'all, we're everywhere already. And as they come together, we meet the cook, the maid, Yvette, and again, Wadsworth, the butler that buttles, so he says. We find out they all are from D.C. and have some type of secret. After a lovely dinner of monkey's brains, which we later find out that's what it is, and it's Mrs. Peacock's favorite, we have the arrival of the main guest, Mr. Body. They are then ushered into the parlor for some cognac and revelations. Turns out all of them are being blackmailed for different things, and Mr. Body is the one who's behind it all. What? Wadsworth advises that the police have been called and they should all report Mr. Body, that he has all this evidence, and if they don't report him, that he will just hand over those evidence anyway. But Mr. Body isn't having that. Oh no, after a short-lived attempt to flee the premises, he comes back with gifts for the guests. A candlestick, a wrench, a pipe, which by the way, that would be a really disappointing gift, a rope, and a revolver. After handing out these gifts, he gives an alternative to Wadsworth's plans: kill Wadsworth, and everyone walks away. He turns off the light, and we hear a gun go off and a scream. Several screams, I think. When the lights are turned back on, we see Mr. Body lying on the floor, who Professor Plum declares is dead. And by the way, he is a psychiatrist, so he's supposed to be a doctor as well, but no longer practicing, which is why he's being blackmailed. The panic sets in, and everyone is acting confused. Who did this? As it turns out, the bullet actually missed Mr. Body and was probably not the cause of death. Confusion. Wadsworth then reveals this was his plan, getting them all together all along, and that his wife had been a victim of Mr. Body's blackmail as well. She was a socialist and had been forced to work for him for free until she died by suicide. So with all of that, they go on to try to figure out what happened. How did he die? At one point, they think maybe there's poison in the cognac, which causes Yvette to scream, who has been listening to the wiretap that's been in that room and been recording from a different room, the billiard, I believe. And so they all retrieve her from the billiard room, and they come back together to the parlor so they can discuss what is happening, finding that Mr. Body's body is missing. Where's Mr. Body's body? After trying to figure out what might have happened, they soon discovered the cook's body in the refrigerator with a knife to her back. They decided to lock away all those weapons and throw away the key, but as they try, they are met at the door with another guest, a motorist, who they decide to lock into another room because, they got things to do. And they rediscovered Mr. Body's body with fresh wounds on his head, and they are for sure now that he is dead. No, he really is dead. Like, his eyes are open and everything. So they drag him back into the parlor along with the cook's body. They decide they must go through the house to see if there's any possible other guests hiding who is killing everyone. So they pair off. The matchstick scene sticks with me so clearly. I don't know what it was. It's the sound of them cutting the matches, but I remember that scene very clearly. So with that, they all pair off. They all go to search the homes assigned to different floors or areas. Later, they discover the motorist has been killed, and they are again met at the door with another visitor. But they've all actually supposedly thrown away the keys at this point. This time it's a cop who they let in, but then they decide to lock in a room as well. It's very suspicious, very suspicious. Surprise, he is also killed, but this is after he goes around and does a whole look-see of the house and answers a phone call that turns out like J. Edgar Hoover is trying to find somebody in that house, But, he dies later on. We then hear the door again, and it's a singing telegram, and she's shot. Bang.
Immediately.
Yeah, I know. But I remember is your singing telegram. Like that sits in my head forever.
Yeah.
And soon they all come back together, and Wadsworth announces that he knows what has happened. Who has done this? Turns out all the guests outside of the main six were informants of Mr. Body and had connections with the main six and had been lured there for that very reason. Several scenarios are shown in the movie, but the true end is that everyone murdered everyone. And Wadsworth is actually Mr. Body. Oh, and Mr. Green just kills Mr. Body because he was actually the FBI informant, and he was the one that was supposed to get that call from Mr. Hoover. But, Wadsworth was the one that took the call. And he ends up killing Mr. Body. He goes home to sleep with his wife because his secret was that he was gay. But he wasn't gay.
Yeah.
End of story. So, first and foremost, Anney, this was your first viewing. What did you think of this movie? Did you figure out the mystery?
No. No. It was really interesting because, when a movie is so popular, like you get pieces of it, whether or not you've seen it.
Right.
And so I'm sure we'll probably talk about this a little bit more later, but there are tropes in the game. The butlers, the killer, all of those kind of, here's your sexy femme fatale, she did it, like all of these different tropes. So I didn't anticipate the ending gag where they have like 3 fake endings. Yeah. So I was definitely like, I don't know what's true and what's not. I don't know what's going on here. But I did really enjoy it, and I liked it does have a very, I was thinking about this today because Only Murders in the Building came back today. Yeah. And they like the kind of that murder, I was like, is there kind of a thing as cozy murder mystery now?
I kind of.
Yeah, because it has like, it's raining outside, it's storming, they're in this big mansion, the costumes are great, the background is great, like
the music is fantastic.
It just is very visually appealing and kind of like it makes you want to, at least me, I was like, I'll curl up in this blanket, try to figure out. Yeah, exactly. Try to figure out what this is. But no, I did not figure it out. I was suspicious of pretty much everybody, but I will say Tim Curry, I was suspicious of Tim Curry.
He's always suspicious in every show he's ever in. Let's just be real honest. Yeah. So the ending was an ode to how the game has different endings and scenarios. Again, how it could have happened is the first scenario with Miss Scarlet killing everyone with the assistance of Yvette, who had helped her and was a former employee of hers. That's her connection. And then she also had connection with a cop who she paid off. And then we had Wadsworth work for the FBI. How about this instead was Peacock killing everyone, which was kind of like the most random scenario, I felt like, especially like, how is she going to choke somebody with it? Like, she doesn't have the body strength okay, whatever, you do you. And then here's what really happened with everyone killing their connected person, except for Professor Plum, who kills Body, and Wadsworth killing the singing telegram woman. They do have a connection, but don't have a connection type of thing. So it was very interesting in that. I know when it was originally released, different theaters got different endings. They didn't get all 3. I watched it on VHS because, yes, baby, I'm that old. We rented a VCR from Curtis Mathis with the movie because we did not have a VCR. We were not rich like that. And I got to watch that movie and I loved it. This is an ode to slapsticks, even though, like, to me, 1980s, 1970s, lots of slapstick. And that was kind of one of the best parts of comedy. I miss some of that. I'm not going to lie, but it made me laugh hysterically. The way that Mr. Green just gets bobbled about everywhere, like as a scenario as being Mr. Body. I love those slapstick comedies, and this was one of those, and it made me laugh every time. And you will hear me, like I told my partner, he was watching it with me, part of it with me last night, in which they were like, to make a long story short, and everybody's like, too late. I do that to him because of this movie, and he's probably like, what? And he didn't understand where that came from, but I still cannot help myself because every time I hear someone say that, that's the line I think of next. So like there are so many things to that. This quip is such a like funny level of comedy, the wit, the humor, the back and forth. I loved it. I loved it as a kid. So all of that to say like this is kind of what it reminisces of. And I also, again, like I said, because we're not necessarily doing a lot of themes, because I think that themes are fairly like because of its dark humor element with a very over the top rhetoric. I feel like it's fairly obvious. You can tell me if you're wrong and you have some themes that you want to talk about, Anney, or listeners. But like one of the things I did love about the movie is that women held their own in this movie. They were more memorable characters than the men to me, outside of Tim Curry. Like they did such an amazing job in their portrayal. I will say like probably the least in the women is Mrs. Peacock. But like I remember Leslie Ann Warren's voice as Miss Scarlet. I remember her line of saying, "Who are you? Perry Mason?" Like that line, which by the way made me laugh because I'm like, Perry Mason wasn't existing in the 1950s, I don't think. But like she was like that person. And obviously, again, my favorite would be Miss White. So like for me, Miss Scarlet is the femme fatale, but in the movie, she's an unapologetic sex worker, like, and a madam. Like she does what she does and knows everybody's secrets. It's like, this is my job. And I know what you did, so you have no room to judge me, like type of conversation. Here's a quote from CleoJournal.com. They write, quote, "Miss Scarlet, who proudly outs herself as a Washington madam, seems to have found one of the few direct routes to power for a woman in the 1950s America, selling sex. Cheerfully impervious to the evening's bourgeoisie code of conduct, she is the only character who appears to be enjoying herself, delivering a stream of Mae West-like wisecracks throughout the evening. This is an example. Professor Plum, I am a doctor, but I don't practice. Miss Scarlet, practice makes perfect. I think most men could use a little practice, don't you?" It's a great line. And he's been sexually harassing her the entire time.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. But she stands, like, she's so used to it. She's like, ugh. And then we have Miss White, the dark and mysterious widow, who comes off as unapologetic and ready with vengeance. With another wonderful quote, she says, "Yes, just the 5. Husbands should be like Kleenex, soft, strong, and disposable." I'm like, yeah, okay. I enjoy that. And note here that the only ad-lib in this movie the entire time was her line, which she says, "Yes, I did it. I killed Yvette. I hated her so much. The flames on the side of my face, the heavy breathe." And then that's it. It's so wonderful. Her acting, that was one of the most iconic. And then the cutaway to Colonel Mustard going, "What?" It's comedic genius. Like I don't know why, but I think it's like one of the top 5 comedic timings that I will remember. Like it's just like genius. Because they let her do it and they realized how amazing this was. But like those moments like that really like things that I remember, again, going back to Miss Scarlet being her like very like booby but green dress, like iconic self, having her high pitched laugh, like it just made her character to me, even though she wasn't wearing a scarlet dress.
Yeah, that threw me too. Because in the game, if some of you listeners have somehow never played this game, it's very color-coded and like Mrs. Colonel Mustard is in yellow, Scarlet is in scarlet. Like, yeah, they were. I think you're right in that the women were much more memorable than the men, and they had better. I thought they had better line deliveries, and just in general, they had more presence. And it was interesting to me because Clue, the game, is very much playing to tropes. And this movie, like, heightened it. It was like, oh, you think here's your sexy French maid, and all of this. But they were doing it very comedically, but while also saying, like, yeah, Miss Scarlet is not going to stand for your nonsense. Miss White might kill you. I love how they gave like every character a very. This is what I love about a good mystery, a very plausible, like, I can see her doing it. I can see it being her.
Yes. I mean, they definitely do a great job in giving each character their own backstory without even having too much of a backstory.
Yeah.
At the beginning.
Yeah,
like you're seeing them as they're presented and you're like, okay, you know who this is. You know who this is.
Yeah.
And again, the men are not as memorable.
No.
They
really aren't.
I'm just saying. I thought about how many board games that have been turned into movies. Like, we've seen many of video games, which sometimes they don't work. The number one was Last of Us, if you needed to know. That was the best. Clue is always in the top 5, if it's not number 1 for the board game editions or renditions. And the top 5 with that is Jumanji, Hello, Ouija, which, by the way, Jumanji is not a real game. So it's kind of like one of those things like based on board game, but is not a real game. It didn't exist before.
But it came out after.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, it wasn't the original. Ouija, it does have a lot of horror, obviously, behind that. And then they said Dungeons and Dragons, and I'm like, is that really a board game?
Tabletop game, I would say.
Okay, but not board game. But you know what? I'll allow it. So it did bring that in, but they did have one of the best adaptations to that. And I think because maybe there's not a lot of games. Like, I don't know how do you turn life into a movie.
Well, there's plenty of them that I'm like, I'm not sure. What's the new one that Margot Robbie's going to be in? And I was like,
Oh, I just know Wuthering Heights, but that's a book.
No, it's a board game adaptation. I can't remember what it is, but I was like, all right.
Someone tell me like, sorry.
It's not sorry, but I would be surprised.
But yeah, so it is interesting to see that. But I also wondered about like the murder mystery concept, because I feel like this is kind of in tune with all of that, the whodunits and we got to figure it out. We can't leave this house until we find the killer type of conversation. And many attribute the murder mystery dinner shows to be from the 1940s, 1950s, but then it evolved in the 80s involving audience members. Have you ever done one of those, Anney?
I played a game. I've never gone to like an event space and done it.
Yeah, I haven't either.
Yeah, I have a friend who did, and it sounded like it went disastrously. I don't think that reflects.
You can't control what the audience is going to do.
Yeah,
which seems kind of like
it's a roll of the dice.
Yeah, I know I've seen people do it at home with their friends so they know them well enough and give them character display, right? That's a thing. So you done that?
Yes, I have. I have one. It is like it's a masquerade that went wrong. And it's on a train, of course, Yeah.
On the train. Like, obviously, The Office has an infamous episode.
Yeah. I do declare.
Yeah. I didn't do it. Can't do the accent. I do not have that accent. Anyway, but I do think, like, when we talk about like movies like Knives Out and those types of movies, like, it kind of is reminiscent to Clue as well, the board game versus also like these movies that have some iconic moments. It again, the one thing that the Knives Out was more serious, and also they left the house.
Yeah, I mean, but that is a thing about a lot of these murder mystery stories is they usually have one space where they're generally confined. I would say in Knives Out they were confined by the will, so even if they could leave the house,
the second one.
The second one, they were confined.
They were confined
on
to the house, but the murder happened outside of.
Yes,
and then they come back in. And then was there more murder?
There was attempted murder.
Murder. That's right. Right, and I really thought that was interesting. And we could talk about murder mystery concepts in general because of that, like also Shakespeare in the Tavern type of thing, like this level of conversation. But that's, again. But of course, we couldn't go beyond this without the politics of Clue. Like, they really wanted to have that Red Scare, the McCarthy era type of conversation in here. And they actually portray... I couldn't tell. You can't tell what they're saying necessarily. And this was done in the 80s once again. So right outside of still Cold War level of what's going down, So it was interesting to see when they talked about, like, she was a socialist. And then it came down to, you're a communist. Well, then she's like, no, I'm the purest form of capitalism, which is, I feel like a conversation today of like the mixture. You're like, no, we're leaning to communism, but you think that it's also our capitalist is turning into communism, and you're not realizing what's happening, and you think communism is just socialism, and that's not what's happening. We're having a dictatorship. I gotta breathe. Back. Okay. But all of that to say is, like, they have that conversation in here. I will say there are so many jokes in there that I did not understand as a 10, 12-year-old. Which are like, red herring. What does that mean? I had to look that up not too long ago, to be honest.
I knew about that because of another mystery book, and it was a clue, and I was like, red herring.
It's just a red herring. What? But it was interesting to see them bring that as a part of that conversation, which you don't have, obviously, in the game. There's no real reason.
Yeah.
There's no plot to it. You just get murdered and you have to get, like...
Right. Well, and that would be an interesting exercise. Me and my friends used to do this where we would try to describe why they did it. Or,
really?
What
you would
happened.
Go that far?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Sometimes. Especially if you get, again, like I have like a What We Do in the Shadows one, you know these characters, so you can try to describe, like, why in the world would they have done this?
Well, now I needed you to play Star Wars to see the backstory.
Oh my gosh, I would.
Because you're supposed to know who gets murdered in that one.
I'm not sure if anyone gets murdered. So some of the newer ones do this thing where, like, in the What We Do in the Shadows one, the cursed hat goes missing. So you have to find the hat.
Oh.
I feel like in the Star Wars one, it was something like that too. It wasn't murder, but look. Oh, now I've got a good excuse to...
You have to look it up for me.
Yeah.
Now that I'm thinking about it, I remember I also had a 3D clue, and it was a museum, and I think they were finding certain artwork.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's been a long time.
I have to say, I hate to bring it up, but I had the Harry Potter clue, and in that one, it was murder. And I always thought that was kind of pretty dark for...
Wait, was it like Harry Potter murdered somebody?
It was like a bunch of Death Eaters. But one time I played it when Ginny got murdered, and I was like,
oh my
holy
gosh.
heck. This is really dark.
Oh, my stars.
Yeah.
Poor Ginny.
Yeah. So maybe they moved on. Maybe they're like trying to make ones now that are less about murder. I don't know, but...
I would love to see what a remake of this would look like today.
It would be interesting. Because again, it is... They're trying to make you think like everybody could have done it.
Right.
And at the time, you have this like the Red Scare and communism. You have this character who's gay and is like... And then not gay, but they were trying to be like, it's him. So it would be interesting.
Like, it was one of those funny moments where I was like, but I'm not ashamed of that. But I don't want to be fired. Which could be still very much today.
I know.
I was thinking about that. Like, it would not be that hard because communism is still a threat, supposedly. Socialism is a threat.
Yeah. It would be interesting. I'm sure there's probably been talks about remaking it.
Oh, there is, actually. So I just pulled it up. And so in 2024, there was a conversation of Sony taking it. But it would be not like the film. It would be more like the game again. And they've been trying, it says.
I could see it being like a 4-episode Netflix series or something. I don't know. Like
so
set
apparently,
design. Yeah.
Ryan Reynolds and Jason Bateman tried to get onto it with the Muppets.
That's not what I was expecting.
I don't know if I read that right. Okay, y'all tell me because I'm like, wait, what? But yeah, it would be interesting. So there was a conversation about how when they had some interviews in between, soon, like for anniversaries of Clue, Tim Curry had a stroke and was not able to participate, but was able to come back later to participate and talk about his memories of it, which I was really glad was able to happen because that would have made me sad. Because Tim Curry was pretty iconic in this whole era. I feel like he was 80s, 70s champion, to be honest. Between that, Rocky Horror, for me, legend, and so much more.
He's pretty iconic in most of his roles.
Oh, and by the way, that's what it was. I saw someone crossing Rocky Horror with Legend in their cosplay. It was beautiful. It was like Tim Curry for both of those as one.
That's amazing.
Shout out to them. It was an amazing one. I forgot about that till just now because I was like, oh my God, I get that. I get that. I don't think many people would because they don't remember Legend.
You'd be surprised. At Dragon Con, I don't know. A couple of years ago, me and a whole group of friends tried to just go as a bunch of different Tim Currys.
Really?
It didn't work out, but I still think that's a great idea.
Somebody goes as a butler, someone goes as... And then he was a horrible character in Criminal Minds.
Oh, no. I feel like
Horrible.
I'd want to go as the Muppet Treasure Island one.
Oh,
Or
It?
Oh, gosh, you're right. It.
I'm just saying.
There's a lot of options.
Yeah, there's a lot of options. But okay. Yeah, so that was Clue. What would you grade this movie, Anney? This cult classic that I love so much.
How do I grade it? Like a home run with the candlestick in the library? I don't know. It was fun. I enjoyed it.
I like you tried. I like you tried to add that all together. Yes, I hope you did. This is definitely one of those that I don't watch often, but every time I watch it, I just giggle each time. And I love this. So yeah, listeners, let us know what you think about this movie. Have you loved this movie? Is this something that you think is a cult classic? If you did, tell me why. If you haven't, tell me why.
Yeah, and hopefully, I mean, we're well outside the window of spoilers, but if you haven't seen it, go watch it.
Should I have said spoilers? It's 40 years.
No, we're well outside the window.
Okay.
Hopefully, if somebody really wanted to watch it, they would have stopped.
They would have not.
Yeah.
Listen to this.
But even if you know the ending, it kind of goes in a wild way. So
it does.
Yeah. I think you'll still be surprised.
Go watch it.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. Well, email us all of your thought, listeners, at hello@stuffinevertoldyou.com. You can also find us on Blue Sky Mom Stuff Podcast or on Instagram and TikTok at Stuff I Never Told You. We're also on YouTube. We have merchandise at Cotton Bureau. And we have a book you can get wherever you get your books. Thanks as always to our super producer Christina, our executive producer Maya, and our contributor Joey.
Thank you.
And thanks to you for listening. Stuff I Never Told You is a production of iHeartRadio. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, you can check out the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.